Are you a woman of faith who is struggling in your current season of life? Do you feel like life is happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I am a certified life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the podcast Seasons of Joy. This is episode number 4, titled Pause to Protect. Now, to review, over the last couple of weeks, we have covered the first 2 parts of the pause principle. The first part is pause to process. This means taking the time to process your emotions by allowing them to move through you instead of letting your emotions control you. The second part is pause to ponder, which means getting curious and asking empowering questions which allow you to connect with your true self and with God. If you haven't listened to those yet, I invite you to do so. This week, I'm going to be talking about the third and final part of the pause principle, which is pause to protect. Now, as I began to accept that life is meant to be 50-50, that there truly is opposition in all things, and I began to process my positive and negative emotions, I actually created change in my life. By accepting what is, I stopped pushing against reality. I was no longer at the mercy of my circumstances or the choices of others. I began to understand that my emotional well-being didn't have to be at the effect of those things outside my control. I now truly believe that it is within my power to choose to create a life I love, to choose a more joyful life. This led me to ponder on the things that really mattered to me, asking myself questions like what values and priorities were important to me, what kind of person did I want to be, how can I be an example of what's possible? What beliefs do I need to let go of that are no longer serving me? What beliefs can I choose to practice that will help me move toward the person I want to become? And how can I be an influence for good in the world? Taking the time to ask questions like these actually invites intention and purpose into our lives. This awareness is an important first step. But what happens after we have figured out what we really intentionally want to create in our life? How do we live on purpose? This is all part of the final piece of the pause principle. Pause to protect. Once we get clear on our values, priorities, and desires, we need to actually pause to consider how we're going to live in a way that protects those intentions. I'm going to share with you 3 ways that I use to pause to protect. These steps you can take to help you create more joy in your life. Number 1, begin by asking yourself what it would look like if you could show up as the person you wanted to be in the future, right now, today. How does she behave? What does she think? What does she believe? What advice would that future self give you to help you live that way now? Looking to the future to create more of what we want in life is powerful. So often we try to create from the past, but the past beliefs haven't been able to get us where we want to go. If they did, we'd already be there. We need to start creating from the future. Accomplishing something we've never been able to achieve before needs to come from a place of possibilities, which lies in the future. For example, consider running a marathon. If you've never run a marathon before, you wouldn't base your ability to succeed on the past because you would never get there because you've never done it. But accessing the possibility from the future, you can begin creating those habits that a marathon runner would need to reach their goal. Consider your future goal. Consider your future self. Can you allow her to share with you the wisdom and possibilities that would lead you to her? If you wanted to be a marathon runner, you would create a plan that includes those things, those steps, those habits that would help you become a marathon runner. And then you would take each day at a time, while also believing that you are a marathon runner. When I thought about starting a podcast, I told myself I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what podcast host to use. I didn't know what to name it or what microphone to use. I didn't know the format or the length. It felt so overwhelming, so I didn't do it. But when I thought about why I wanted to do this podcast, I decided I wanted to protect my purpose. I wanted to protect the values that encouraged me to share what I have learned. Protect the person that I wanted to be. Protect the goodness I wanted to share with the world. So I looked to the future and I created a plan, and I took the next step and the next step and then the next, and here we are. Number 2, what do you need to start saying no to in your life? This can definitely include eliminating activities that are not helping you reach your goal. Doing this is great and can allow you to create more space in your life for what you want to create more intentionally, but I am also suggesting that it includes more than that. I mean saying no to being the victim of your story. Saying no to putting other people in charge of your emotions. Saying no to showing up in your life reactionary and not in line with who you want to be. Saying no to believing you are not enough. Saying no to playing small in your life. Saying no to blaming others or shaming yourself. When I realized the never-ending feeling loop of self-pity and frustration wasn't helping me create more joy in my life, I decided I needed to start saying no. I had to start saying no to the belief that people should believe, think, feel, or do what I thought they should. I had to start saying no to the idea that the reason I was feeling those negative feelings was someone else's fault. I needed to start saying no to the idea that there was something wrong with me. I had to start saying no to resisting, reacting, and avoiding my emotions. I had to start saying no to the adversary who was trying to convince me that I wasn't good enough. I had to start saying no to not showing up as the person I wanted to be. By saying no to things like these, we can actually start saying yes, which leads me to number 3. What do you need to start saying yes to in your life? Are you ready to say yes to processing your emotions? Are you ready to say yes to being uncomfortable? Are you ready to say yes to putting yourself out there and trying new things? Saying yes to failure, saying yes to opportunities that feel scary, like this podcast. Saying yes to embracing all of you, the good and the bad. Saying yes to believing that it is okay not to be perfect, and saying yes to being human. Saying yes to feeling love for everyone in your story. Saying yes to aligning yourself with who you really want to be and with who God created you to be. Then deliberately and intentionally choosing that. I have said yes more in the last few years than ever before. I have learned so many things because I've been willing to say yes, even when I was afraid. Saying yes has included feeling uncomfortable and maybe even a little embarrassed. It has included embracing failure, knowing that it really isn't failure, but actually learning if I keep trying. Saying yes to progressing, improving, and becoming, while at the same time saying yes to loving and accepting myself through the process. I truly believe that when we can access the wisdom and beliefs from our future self while also learning what to say no to and what to say yes to in our life is the key to real growth and joy. I'm not saying that I'm perfect in this process, but it's something I've found worth practicing. So I ask you, have you paused to consider what your priorities are, your values, your desires? What would your ideal life look like? How can you begin to honor and protect your intentions? We are all creators. It's in our DNA as children of God. We are either intentionally creating or unintentionally creating, We are always creating. But what do you want to create on purpose? I invite you to consider the following. What's one thing that your future self believes that she could share with you now? Is there something in your life you could begin saying no to? Is there something you could begin saying yes to? What opportunities are you willing to lean into, even if it means feeling uncomfortable? What do you want to create? Applying these 3 parts of the pause principle has changed my life. Pausing to process, pausing to ponder, and pausing to protect has allowed me to embrace that I'm not in a midlife crisis, but actually in a season of awakening. This has become my mantra. This has become my belief, and I'm fully embracing it. I have discovered that it is never too late to awaken and remember who you are. It's never too late to learn new things. It's never too late to live a life you love. It's never too late to create a season of awakening, and it can be so beautiful. I invite you to apply the pause principle to your life and see what you can create. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, please share it and leave a review. If you want to learn more about me, go to seasons-coaching.com. Have a joyful week, and I'll see you next time.